we're going to be reviewing the rehauled, about to say 1978. It's not 1978. I've been working too much. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Eye-Catching Customs. On today's custom, I'm going to be showing you how I took the Trick or Treat Studios Halloween Ends mask and completely rehauled it. Well, not completely. I did not rehair it, but I did paint it. With that being said, the Trick or Treat Studios alone as a company is a really great place. They have some really great things. And when it comes especially to Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, those masks, of course, the paint jobs are not completely accurate because it is a mass-produced product. But with that being said, the sculpts are the closest thing that you will ever be able to get, because the sculpts are actually molded off of the movie mask. So you are getting a piece of history when you buy these masks. Basically, you are getting the direct mold from what was used on screen, and I think that is so cool, just to know that you have something that is so accurate that all it really needs is a paint job and you're there. So something about that really is fascinating to me. I love it so much. I hate Halloween Ends as a movie. It did not meet expectations that I wanted it to meet, but we all can admit that Michael Myers looked pretty cool in that movie. But I do want to go ahead and say that this video will not be in the same kind of, look as my normal videos. It was very hard for me to film the process of me doing this, because the day that I started working on this was actually the day that I got all 4 of my wisdom teeth removed. So what you don't see behind the camera is me with a mouthful of gauze, face all puffed up and bruised, blood is profusely coming out of my mouth, and I'm over here working on this mask. But I'm the kind of guy to where I can't just sit in bed. Whenever I had to miss work and be out of work for a week, to just lay in bed, that killed me. I can't do that. So prior to me getting ready to repaint this mask, rehaul this mask, I went ahead and bought the mask at a Spirit Halloween and just kept it and stored it away for about 2 weeks to actually, be able to work on it whenever I was, trying to fix myself and my hurting gums. And I wanted to draw out the process for that whole week of me, working on this mask and getting it to where I wanted. And let's just say within probably 5 hours I was done. I'm the kind of guy that when I have an art piece and I want to get it done, I will get it done as soon as possible. I will stay up 24 hours of the day to make sure it's done, and I will look over countless pictures. Now granted, this is not going to be a complete screen accurate copy. I didn't really want that. A lot of my masks, especially when it went to like the Halloween Kills and such like that, I do put my own twist on it in a way. So like, I love the mold effects on the side, and instead of them being just so sporadic here and there, I did clump it up a little bit more. I like that clumped up look. I did darken up the burn side just a little bit. There wasn't so much white coming from the burn side. And I also really went in depth with the cracks and all the debris on the mask. I did go in pretty heavy with that, but I do think it came out amazing. I'm very happy with it. I did want to release this video for Halloween, and the editing process has just been absolute hell. So as you can see, I'm filming this, November 6th as of today, 2025, and the Christmas tree is already up, but that's besides the point. Take this away, and we're just going to be talking about Halloween stuff in this video. So like I said, I went to a Spirit Halloween location. I actually went to 3 separate ones because I live out in the boonies, and there's really nowhere for Spirit Halloween to be around here. I mean, we got a Walmart, that's a pretty fun place to go. It's really about it that this little area is going to offer. So I did go about an hour away, and I went to 3 separate locations because they did not have many Michael Myers masks. For some reason, I couldn't hardly find any. Both locations that I went to, all I found was the 1978 TOTS mask and the H2 TOTS mask. And finally, that last one I went to, which was at a mall, went there and they had 3 copies of the Halloween Ends mask, and I was so stoked, so excited. They looked like crap. I did find one randomly on a shelf though. They had 3 masks. The 2 that was put up, they looked terrible. It looked like somebody had stomped it. They looked god awful. And one that I saw that was just sitting tucked away, I picked it up and it was almost perfect. So that's the one that I went with, and I was very, very happy to have it. And I'd been wanting to do the Halloween Ends mask for a while now, and I figured, you know what, the wisdom teeth removal, it'd give me something to do. Let's see what I can do. Let's see how good I can make this look. And I'm very, very happy with the end piece that we have. But let's just say the entire time that I was painting this mask, I kind of felt like Michael Myers at the end of Halloween Kills, when he's in the circle fighting everyone, and he's getting stabbed and he's getting shot. This was me. Oh shit.
Stop talking.
I'm bleeding like a motherfucker. Yeah. Michael Myers wasn't saying that, but I can promise you, he was thinking. I'm bleeding like a motherfucker.
What did he say?
But what finally made me really want to get the Halloween Ends mask was a couple years ago. My brother was moving out of his house, and he had a box of knives, and he just said, hey, you can do something with these. I know you like to collect stuff from horror movies and stuff. I mean, you could use them for something. You could make something out of them and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, that's cool. I'll take them off your hands. Well, it was a big butcher's knife in there, and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, that'd be a cool Michael Myers knife. I mean, it ain't, it's pretty accurate, but it'll work. And I took it home and I bloodied it up, put it in my display cabinet. Well, when Halloween Ends came out, I realized that knife looks very familiar. And upon further looking, I realized that the knife that he gave me was actually the same make and model knife used in Halloween Ends. So I actually took that knife and I scraped some of that blood off and sanded it down to where it looked like dry blood in a way. And then I took a bunch of different acrylic paints and stuff like that and just dabbed it all over it to make it look like it was rusty. So I think it's pretty cool that now, once I can get a display case, if you can't tell, you probably won't be able to. But I used to have all of my horror stuff in my room, and I've done some renovations, and now all of that is up in the spare bedroom. So I'm going to be fixing all that up and making my own little horror room. And once I do get that, I will have a display cabinet, and I'm going to have all of my favorite Myers masks together, from probably H1 to 2018 to Kills to Ends, and I'll have all of the knives to go with them. So I cannot wait to get everything set up with that, because I think that's going to look amazing. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go through the process of me rehauling this mask, let y'all see it up close and personal on what I did. Of course, like I said, it's not a screen accurate copy. It's my own take on it. It looks like the mask, but with my own certain takes to the mask. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get to the process of rehauling the Trick or Treat Studios Halloween Ends Michael Myers mask. So as you can see, this is the mask as soon as I bought it. It did have a really good paint job, I will admit, but it did lack some certain details that I wanted, so I just went ahead and went forward with actually rehauling it. As you can see though, I'm picking some of the loose cotton off with my hands, and then I'm also using some isopropyl alcohol with a rag, and I'm just rubbing down every part on the mask that does have cotton. That isopropyl alcohol will really help break down the adhesion inside that glue where the cotton is actually adhered to the mask, and it will help it come off a whole lot better. I mean, as you can see right here, I'm literally peeling it off like it's skin. It's really doing such a great job, as you can see here. I mean, it worked great. And the way I see it is you need to try to get as much cotton off of the mask as possible before you go to painting it, because you do not want that cotton to be in the paint. It's really gonna give that paint job a lackluster look. And then here it is after I'd removed all the cotton off the bare mask. And Trick or Treat Studios is known for having these hairy necks on the back of their masks, but It is very, very easy to get this off. I like to use 180 grit sandpaper. This sandpaper it's really fine, and it will really help get that hair off because it is coarse enough, but it will not leave such deep scratches in the mask. So as you can see here, that side is so hairy, and then you've got this side which still needs to be sanded down more, but it was just to show you a little bit of process, but it's going to look amazing in the end. Now, the water that you just seen is a mix of dark green paint, light brown paint, and dark brown paint mixed in with some water. Now this, I'm just going to take it and paint the entire mask with it and let it dry for a little bit, just maybe a minute or two, and then I will actually go in and wipe that down with a paper towel. I always like to say use a dry paper towel on this run because you want that paint to get down in those crevices and down in those cracks. It's really going to make that mask look weathered and nasty and dirty, and that is what you want for this mask. Now, I did do this about 3 or 4 times after I let the mask dry. That way I just had such a dirty base coat to go on. And then you're going to go over that by dry brushing with like a white that I did mix up to make a little bit dirty. I did not want the white to be so pearly. I wanted it to look dirty. But once you do that, now this mask is going to look brown for a little bit until you put that first dry coat on it. And when you dry brush that on, it is really going to make those little details that you focused on pop. Now next up, we're going to be dry brushing. So you'll see here where I'm using a white and a tan, and I just mixed that up, and I took a very, very nice soft brush and just started dry brushing that on. Now basically when it comes to dry brushing, you just dip your paintbrush down in that paint and take almost every single inch of paint off of that paintbrush. Just leave a little bit inside the bristles. That'll help make a dry coat, and it'll help really ensure those details that you've worked on previous. Now I do also like to go in with a very, very thin paintbrush and kind of paint in some of the cracked details too with these masks, just to really ensure that it has such a aged look that maybe you cannot get with these masks. But as you can see, I'm literally just dry brushing. I'm doing a dry coat of that white paint just to bring back out that white Michael Myers face. But do not use a just straight stark white, because that will really give it a weird look, because it's so dilapidated, it is so dirty, and you don't want a perfectly clean mask with these dark, dirty cracks inside of the mask and all the chips and stuff like that. So as you can see, that the color of the mask was really dark, and then I'm bringing that white out. Even though it isn't a just straight stark white, it is really helping give that Michael Myers aesthetic, and also it's bringing out those deep grooves and the deep cracks that are in the mask. And these are the colors that I previously did to do the dark wash. Now I just thinned out that water and left most of that acrylic paint just a little bit thinned out. And now I'm going to be going over the burn side and just kind of accentuating those cracks and crevices and worn out spots in the mask with this thin paintbrush. Now mostly I'm taking a lot of it off. I'm not using a paper towel or a towel or anything like that. I'm just kind of dabbing it, letting some of that heavy paint get off of there to where you only have a little bit of a residue. And then I'm going in there and I'm just going over some of the crack spaces and some of the old mold residue and burn spots, just trying to emphasize and really get those details to where you can see them very, very prominently. And for the deep parts of the cracks right here on the burn side, I basically just mixed up black and brown with this, and that really helped give a burned aesthetic on the sides and also a black in the center. I went over the entire area with the black and the brown, and then kind of faded in the center with some just normal black acrylic paint that would really help accentuate shadowing and just how nasty and burned this side of the mask is. Then after I did this, I did go over it with a dry brushing of the white because I did feel like it was too dark, but when I added this, I really loved the detail that you was getting, especially like around the mouth and around the forehead. Just that detail that you was getting was just amazing once you did that dry coat and that dry brush of the white. Now, he has these like black spots on his bullet wound side, the most normal side of the mask, these like black mold spots, so I just basically took a paintbrush and just blotted that on. Now, whenever it comes to that residue of the blood or the skin tone or whatever that was supposed to be in the original mask, I showed you the paints that I used to mix that up. Just really looked at some screen grab photos and just blotted it on where I thought it was. I did end up putting a little bit too much in certain spots, so I decided to go back over that with a dry brush of white, and that actually looked even better. So I do say do that, just in case. Now, whenever it comes to the burn side of the mask, I did hit it with some golden brown. Right now it looks very yellow on camera, but once you do some more shading with it and kind of even everything out, it leaves this great burnt latex look, and I'm so glad that I went with that. Now, I did not have super glue for when I was putting the cotton on, and I'm very impatient, so I ended up using some clear nail polish, and that actually worked amazing because with super glue it tends to dry very, very quickly. Well, this nail glue, it took a little bit, which allowed me to rub it on the mask where I wanted it to be, take those cotton balls and kind of pull them apart and get like a cool mold texture and feature, and I was able to actually stick that on the clear nail polish and just use a old paintbrush that didn't really mean anything and just kind of spread it out. That way the mold looks like it's spreading and isn't just, all over the place. Now, when it came to me actually applying the mold to the mask, I did not actually even really look at any screen grabs. I just really wanted a lot of mold on this mask. I wanted it to look really, really old, really, really nasty. I wanted you to be able to smell this mask on screen. Like, I wanted it to look nasty as it could possibly be, and I feel like I achieved that pretty well. Now, this next step is personally up to you if that's what you want to do, but I did take this instant volume hairspray and I sprayed down the entire area where this burn was and the mold was, and with that I lit a flame with it. Lighting that flame really helped burn that mold effect in and burn some of that hair around the mask. Really helped give that charred, nasty look. And if you do this, please wear a respirator because the smell of burning hair is absolutely atrocious. But as you can see here, I'm giving Michael a little cut. As you know, Trick or Treat Studios loves the Michael Myers mullet. So I'm just giving it a trim. It really wasn't that hard. You just have to play with it a bit. But with that being said, this is the final piece of what I have.